Hello, Spacers. Welcome to Starlight, a space opera. I'm Isaac, your host and GM for the adventures ahead. This show, whether you're watching or listening, is a labor of love, and one that we want to make the best for you. So if you can, take a moment to freely subscribe or share however is most comfortable for you. Thanks. Now let's plot a course to Starlight. All right, welcome to January 2021, and we are back, and we are finally bringing some of the hidden story of what happened to Atlas. By now, you guys will have heard the most recent episode last week, and for this second week of January, we are going to see what trouble Atlas got up to, just as I promised and McKenna was worried about. And for people who are new, who haven't gotten to meet Atlas yet, he is voiced and brought to life by one of my best friends' brother, and just an all-around great guy. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Atlas before we go.
Alrighty, my name is Nathan. Kind of like Isaac said, I play Atlas. Atlas is a barbarian. I'm not going to go too much into his, because obviously everyone knows that plays Barbarian, has a primal path. Obviously we'll get into that a little bit later. Atlas works for the Acers. If I know they've been brought up a little bit, but if you are new, the Acers are on the surface just a big weapon business, export, import, things like that. With that, he has been traveling around with both Clive, McKenna, and then him and McKenna don't seem to get along too often. Clive and him seem to be understanding of each other for the most part. There's still a lot of mystery kind of on who each other are, and kind of still the trust is a little iffy or waving. As of right now, they're obviously they're going through the temple and everything, and he did split off from the group to kind of just check different areas and kind of follow his own leads to make sure that he's basically protecting himself. I'm kind of jumping around, but he is kind of a mercenary, also works for the Acers, so he, as of right now, he kind of just looks out for himself. He's not trying to, he's not a hero. He's not the protector, the white knight kind of thing. He's just trying to make his own way in life kind of thing. So Atlas is 6'4" in height, 280 pounds, has this gray silver hair. I don't think a lot of people are going to get this reference, but kind of like that kind of wild anime style kind of thing. He wears, how do you explain it? When I was saying, if anyone's, also people won't get the reference too if I say, people don't watch anime or read manga.
We're going to get people who watch anime. Bring it on. Just slather it on. This is a part of who Nathan is, and we love anime in this show, so.
So he kind of has the smoker from One Piece. So he kind of wears that kind of pirate captainish jacket. I mean, it's more modernized, so maybe more of a military-ish kind of style with the pockets and everything. But it has the fur collar kind of around. He's shirtless, so it's just the jacket that's open in the middle. Wearing kind of just military slacks, just being efficient. Wearing boots, combat boots. Sleeves are normally rolled up to his forearms. He's a big guy. Oh, he has these blue lines, I would say, or blue. Blue lines or tracks almost throughout his chest and body. And then from his eyes, kind of down his face. Those kind of they don't pulse, but they kind of have this light glow to them that are blue.
With that is a perfect place for me, your host and GM, Isaac, to segue us into Starlight. So, here we go.
Neuralink. access memories.
Accessing. Atlas, unwilling to be ambushed, once again allows his military training and berserker experience to take over. Telling his companions to be quick in scouring the inner temple, he makes his way back into the outer temple to secure the premise and hunt down the snake-eyed assailant, if he can. Memories retrieved.
The camera is pointed up at this nighttime sky. It is that time where it's a mix of purplish in the sky with the black velvet of kind of like a starry blanket. The twin suns of the solar system can be around the backside of some of the moons, and there is the moon is shining kind of a very bright kind of pale glow as it's having kind of these double suns line up right behind it. And the light is obscured as a dark shape of a strange bird that is native to the planet of Thala kind of flies, casting a shadow down onto the ground. The shadow itself gliding over rocky, almost stalactites that are almost in the shape of cactuses that have been created by the constant small earthquakes and pushing of plates. And the rock itself is a strange kind of like tan, milky yellow color, kind of to the eye gives you the sense that it is more than just any normal mineral. The shadow keeps flying and eventually starts to disappear as a hillside starts to kind of form up out of the ground. In that hillside, there is a gaping maw of a cave that was entered by 3 spacers hours ago. We zoom in and wind through the cave, tracing their footsteps. Part of the group, 2 of them, McKenna and Clive, are deep down in the bowels of this cave, where the cave gives way and turns into an ancient Loxodonian temple. Leading from an antechamber, they are to the right of the tunnel and checking out an inner sanctum of a temple. We, however, do not focus on them. We focus on the dark shape of a man hulking, his jacket with its fur trim, and his bare chest pulsating, a light blue smoke coming out of a cigarette from his lips, and a light kind of like glistening of perspiration from having chopped his way and blown his way with his burst axe. A marvel of melee machinery mixed with the kind of a beautiful melding of almost like a shotgun type of weaponry. He has just finished cleaving his way through rubble and has made his way as we follow him through the hallway where it winds into the antechamber. Kind of looks both ways. There is another tunnel, a little bit darker. The camera kind of zooms in on his eyes, and we watch as the eyes kind of like very perceptibly, barely like perceptibly, glazes a faint red. For anyone who understands synthetics, they would know that synthetics have the ability to see infrared. The eyes look down the tunnel, nothing there to be seen, and he continues his way in. We watch as he checks various rooms and clothes of what look to be past kitchens, rooms, most of which have had their support structures ruined from years of wear, from earthquakes or time past, and a lot of them have collapsed inward. At the end of the hallway, there is another room, and there is a new door affixed to it. We watch as this man goes about some sort of like practiced routine of stalking and hunting and prey, and eventually burst through this door expecting to find someone potentially. There's no one there to be found. But it is a fully furnished room. Now, in this room, you find he looks around and there is a simple bed, almost like a cot. There's a few personal effects built into shelving that has been carved into the walls. There's a kind of like Durasteel desk. A long rock has been kind of pulled up to the desk. It would be very difficult to move. It looks like it took a lot of effort to drag it in, but it's of the right height to sit on. And the desk itself has papers. It has a few drawers, and there's a small kind of like radio clock. And all you can hear is the faint drips of liquid kind of falling from the caverns behind you. Just kind of, and then that's kind of like strangely coupled with the sound of civilization in the form of the clock just ticking. And the person you were looking for is the person who ambushed you. The one who you assume laid the trap with the infrared tripwires that caused the collapse in the tunnel earlier that you had to cleave your way through. You know that they ran somewhere further into the temple or left, and having found this room, it's probably not too far of a guess to think that perhaps that this room belonged to whoever it was, or someone else closely affiliated with your quarry and with your prey, Mr. Akram, the Sunmaker. So that's where you find yourself, Atlas.
All right. And it looks like the area that I'm in kind of leads farther or deeper in. No,
you are in a kind of like a one bedroom.
One bedroom.
Sorry, I should have explained something better.
You're good.
But it was the last bedroom in a hallway that kind of ended in a collapse.
Okay.
The hallway is the same. The bedroom is of the same temple work, where you can see metal bracers running through the wall, but you also have this mix of a Mesopotamia kind of carving style with statues and facades intertwined with some futuristic hints. And everywhere there are symbologies in reference to what McKenna called the Way, in the form of tusks and elephant effigies.
Alrighty. I'll check as of right now, does it look like anyone was there recently? Can I check and see if there's any type of sign that there was someone there?
Go ahead and make a investigation check.
Great. 14?
It does look like someone was there. You look closer at the bed and you can see that it has been not recently, but that it wasn't made this morning. You'd find piles of clothes. It looks like a pair of trousers and a dark cloak. Oddly similar, almost the exact copy, maybe except for a silver kind of brooch on the side of the same cloak of the person who attacked you with the rifle back in the hallway.
Okay, can I try to see if there's any secret, because if it's the person that we saw earlier ran away, can I see if there's any escapes or second doors or anything?
That would also be an investigation as well.
Okay.
For that.
17.
As you are investigating, you kind of start to kind of pull the room apart. There's a little bit of a brusque attitude to the way you're doing it. You're not paperwork and stuff like that. It's easy to tell what stuff's important and non-important. Things that aren't important that you wouldn't go over, you just kind of easily kind of move it to the side or even toss it, including the bed, looking for something. You do not find any actual escape from the room. What you do find, however, is situated a small, almost nickel-sized box up in the southernmost corner where the ceiling and the wall join. It is a camera looking straight at you.
I'm gonna do something that I'm fairly certain I am not good at. I'm going to attempt it. I'm gonna try to... Can I try to, like, interface with it?
Yes. Go ahead and try and make a hacking check.
That'd
It'll be
be
interfacing.
Yeah. Okay, now the night's over. 4.
You find the port, the Wi-Fi channel that would be attached to it, and you start to... Your eyes kind of glaze over like a faint marbled white. Everything slows down, and it's almost like being in your body but not being in your body as you start to interact with it in the code. And I need you to go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw.
It can't be that bad, right? 13?
You start to feel kind of like a strange pulsation starting from where your Neuralink has been, is in the base of your, where it's fused into the base of your spine at your neck. And it's just a faint tingling. And then almost like a little arcs of lightning or like sparks, you just kind of feel it go kind of like up and down your body, and then it fades away. Then what comes back first in your senses is you hear the sound of water dripping. Like, then you hear the sound of the clock. You look back at the clock. When you first walked in, it was about 5 past 11. And when you look back from trying to interface, it is almost 50 minutes past 11. And you see a silvery shape, or like silvery movement at the doorway of the room out of the corner of your eye. You whip around and you see kind of like square metallic bot. It has legs that extend off the sides of tread, but the legs are like kind of lifted up off the ground, and it looks like it's been traveling on tread. It has a single, almost like ruby ornamented like sensor on the center of the box, and you can see that there are various holes on the front, and then some sort of like a turret swiveling gun. And once you look over, you watch as out of the holes there is a spray of gas that goes and it starts to fill the room. I need you to go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw.
Is this poison? The reason I ask is because I have an advantage on saving throws against poison.
Technically it's not, but it doesn't make sense to me that's not poison, so go ahead.
12?
The saving throw number was 11.
Woo! I mean, all planned.
There is a faint shape back behind it. You see a kind of a cloaked figure go running back into the hallway. So the bot kind of rolls back just slightly on its tread, and you just hear the sound of its whirring.
Perfect. How big is this thing? Compared to me.
It is a small unit, and it stands up to just slightly above your kneecaps.
I'm gonna try to charge it and just like almost like football tackle it and just, or no, not kind of like an offensive lineman. I'm just gonna keep like basically just push it back and chase after this like the thing that I just saw. I'm thinking I know what it was.
You need to make a contested athletics roll versus it. As you come running and you just start to try and lower your shoulder to barrel into it. It rolled a 13.
16.
So you go and push through it. Poosh! The thing kind of goes spinning back into the hallway, and you just hear like a... And you continue dashing after it. So as you kind of skid around the corner, you see the shape of this humanoid kind of dashing down, jumping over some of the rubble in the hallway, and making his way back out to wherever the antechamber is. The tips of the cloak kind of like fluttering. There is kind of like faint glitters of silver kind of coming off them, so I want you to go ahead and make a perception roll.
Natural 20, so 22.
What you notice is that every few steps that he takes, from a small, like, kind of like where the ceiling is, there are like faint lines of silver that are kind of like shooting down, almost dancing with the movements. And you realize that this isn't real. This is some sort of like hologram image. And you watch as this figure continues running, never looks back, and it goes to like jump over another like little thing of rubble, and you watch as the tip of its foot kind of passes through the rock. The robot kind of turns on its heel right behind you, and it raises the turret up and kind of swivels it straight at your back, and you just turn just in time as you hear the sound of choo 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 kind of fire off at you. The first bullet misses, and then the second misses as you kind of turn, grab the top of the turret, and kind of move it to the side so that it misses. And
okay, so obviously noticing that wasn't what I wanted to be chasing, I'm just gonna swipe at it with my battle axe. 13.
So you do hit it, but you kind of just like, this is a pretty reinforced metal, and you hear the sound of just metal grating against metal as your axe kind of like glances to the side off of hitting it. The robot kind of like starts to kind of move its tread just as it kind of moves into the foyer of the room, and you watch as the body kind of shifts and turns partially so that some of the holes are facing inward at the room.
Get my attack of opportunity on this boy. 17.
So you cleave this time. You catch one of its like legs that have been lifted so that it can move on its tread, and that leg kind of clatters to the ground as you bring down your axe, and with the backhand of the axe you cut off part of it. Some of like the oil splurting off onto the ground for like the hydraulic system.
I'm going to try to finish little Wally. I'm going to attack it again, and then I'll do reckless too so I can get advantage.
There's just kind of like, you let out like this like kind of just very like large grunt as you raise the axe up again, kind of hacking into the same leg, some circuitry kind of popping. The robot, it's the side of its body that's kind of turned facing towards you as it's like kind of turning the main bulk of its front to face into the room. You watch as this like white spray just goes poof right out at you. I need you to go ahead and roll a dexterity saving throw.
Natural 1, 2.
Okay, so from the little holes kind of riveted into the body, this dust just poof, kind of like a cloud, and for a moment it like even gets into your eyes just a little bit, kind of tears welling at them. You get the dust out of your face just in time to watch as it begins to fire round after round into the room, destroying areas that you would probably have assumed were filled with like evidence of some kind, or just something that they didn't want you to find. And you yourself, as the camera looks at you, you almost look like you are just covered in chalk dust. Yep. The thing kind of like continues moving forward, a little bit of that chalk in your eyes. You kind of swing, still trying to rub one eye, and you kind of swing wide, stumbling a step forward. The axe gets stuck into a like minor bit of wood paneling that's been hung on the wall with that has kind of like a yellow kind of like painting that it looks like was not fully done, and you kind of pull it out as you just get some of the chalk out of your eye, and you feel these like huge kind of puncture holes from these rudimentary bullets kind of just splay into your body.
Reckless again. All right, 18 plus 6, 24.
So this time you kind of cleave, taking part of its tread off. Now when it tries to move, it is grinding against the stone. There is ever more like popping of circuitry, and you actually watch as like the turret kind of turns to face you, and then it kind of like flops down before it starts to come back online. You can see that you're starting to damage some of its internal parts enough, and it is looking close to wreckage.
Alice is gonna rage. All the like blue lights are turning red. His eyes start turning red, and he starts to like some of his back, almost like vent like, kind of comes off to where it's like starting to blow out steam. And then he's gonna have, also an anime reference, a tail start coming out, like a 1.5, 2 foot, I'd say 1.5, 2 foot wide, like linked tail to where it's like bladed on both sides, kind of come out with like a pointed tip at the very end of it. It kind of has different joints in it, so it can like maneuver and bend around. And then you're just gonna see him like start growing like metal inorganic / organic like claws. His like mouth and like his everything's gonna kind of like start growing. Like his teeth are gonna get, or his fangs are gonna basically get longer, and he's just gonna be more kind of just succumb to like being just like an animal or like a beast.
Now you have become this feral incarnate, somewhere between beast and man. The robot seems to show it doesn't even seem to care, as most bots probably would.
Yeah.
You just hear just the sound of circuitry on it, just and the ever so faint kind of like recoding of its new enemy as it just goes. The bot once more releases, almost as if it's on some sort of like automated sequencing. It doesn't seem to be taking in information as like, say, a synthetic or even a thinking machine would be in adapting. You just watch as more gas just goes flooding straight out of the holes and sockets kind of riveted into its body. I need you to make a Constitution saving throw.
Ooh, the natural 20.
You don't even move. It just completely covers you. There you are, this just almost like covered in this hazy yellow mist, somewhat similar to the cigarette that is still burning in the back corner of the room. You're still covered in like this white chalk, but blue lines and blue tattoos on your body have been replaced with virulent red that's kind of pulsating in time with your anger. And you become a shadow within this gas that this bot has sent out. And as the gas starts to fade, there's the sound of claw ripping across stone as you step forward. The bot then lowers its turret, fires off 2 rounds.
All right.
The first one.
So that's why I brought up the tail. As a reaction, within 10 feet, I can add a D8 to my AC. So
the first one definitely didn't hit. The second shot would be a 24.
16 plus 4, that's only 20.
Oh! So you raise the tail up. The bullet kind of shoots through some of the organic metal that you've grown out of your body, piercing through straight into you. At this point, I need you to make a perception roll.
Okay. 15.
There is a faint kind of like quaking at your feet. It feels faintly like in like a beginning of an earthquake.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna back up into the room, like the other room, and then shoot him with my burst axe. 9 plus 3, because it's...
Oh. So your shot just... misses the bot, ricochets, and actually destroys more of the room, leaving a smoldering. It knocks the clock to the ground, and when the clock hits, you hear one of like the auto set tunes that are used to wake people up, and it starts playing a rock and roll song. You start to feel the ground continue to shake. There is a little bit of like the wall starting to shake, and you are in one of the unstable rooms. Can you roll a percentile die?
45.
Ooh, you've backed into this room. This is a clover. You took the shot. The ground continues to shake. You can feel dust starting to fall, and there is a pebble that hits you in the shoulder. You look up, you look back. The rest of this room looks like it's collapsed multiple times from small earthquakes, and you see some of the rocks in the ceiling starting to come loose. I need you to make either an athletics or an acrobatics roll.
Yep, 22.
Okay, so the only way out of the situation is forward. You roll back out of the room as the rest of the room collapses in on itself from the whatever is causing the shaking. You also see cracks starting to make rivets in the ground. The cracks are like coming from the antechamber, and they're slowly, almost like ice, making their way towards you. The bot kind of comes out of the room into the hallway where you are. Your turn.
Ooh, alright. Let's attack. 18.
That is a hit.
Oh, thank God, finally. Alright. 8 plus 4, 12 plus 2, 14.
How do you want to kill it?
I think in his bestial state, he's just gonna grab it by its... I don't know if it has a neck, but... No, actually, he's just gonna grab, the top of its head, because it's tiny, it's small, right?
Yeah.
And just, crush it. Just completely just smash it like you're smashing, a soda can kind of thing.
And there's just... As you grab it and you just press your hands in, the nails kind of that you've grown, scraping in already into the innards, causing more of electricity pop in and out as your muscles, you can feel them tense and strain, but in this state, it's almost as if someone numbed your arms. You just gotta apply the force, and you watch as the thing satisfyingly just kind of crumples as if it was a tin can, and you drop to the ground. You don't get much more of a moment to waste as you watch as these cracks start to circle in around you. They come up to your feet, and you watch as the ground is starting to shake more and more. You start to get the sense that this is no earthquake, that this is something that has been drawn to you. Your eyesight's taken down to your body as a little bit of that rage kind of clears enough to give you some cognizance in this moment. You see the white dust all over you. You see the white dust all over the ground. And the cracks start to make a circle around you, and you can feel as something starts to climb its way up through the ground, and you hear a earth-shattering rip, and you just see just in time as almost teeth made of crystal shards break the ground, and I need you to make any type of skill that you think would be applicable to avoiding or stopping yourself from getting hit.
How big? How big is the gap? The mouth?
Potentially big enough to swallow you. Yeah, it's big.
Arm width,
Oh, it's definitely arm width, yes.
Okay. So you're just gonna, do the whole, Hercules, grabbing it by its, maw kind of thing, and just trying to, not get eaten.
Okay, I need you to go ahead and make a athletics versus check.
All right.
And I'm going to roll the big dice here. It has a +6.
Same.
Oh, that's a 12.
Am I still raging?
You are still raging.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so I do have advantage on strength checks. Woo! Woo! Okay, so the first dice I rolled was a 5 + 6, so it was 11. The second one I rolled was a 7.
You barely beat me. Okay, describe to me how you were, what is happening in this moment as this creature comes up out of the ground, the maw opening up to clamp down on your body, drawn to you by this white dust.
Alright, so Atlas still in his, rage mode, so he's just, wild. He's seeing, he's still has, his tail out and everything. He's just, as soon as it comes out, because of obviously beast, or beast sense, and he just goes and snaps around and just grabs it by the maw that is coming at him, and then just basically just stops it and kind of you see in the movies with Hercules or the things with monsters and stuff come at him, and he's gonna start just almost roaring at it in a sense, because it's almost beast versus beast in that sense, animal or monster versus monster. He's just gonna roar at it, and then just basically just gonna clamp its mouth shut in a sense and just hold it there.
This thing is probably close to 8 feet in length.
Oh, come on.
And you clamp the mouth shut as you're holding it, and where it came up now, and your orientation is your back is to the hallway, and it starts pushing you out through the hallway. You start scrabbling, keeping it shut, monster versus monster, and it is a long wrestling match as it slams you up against the wall, but you do whatever it does, you're able to almost kind of control it and slam it against the wall. It pushes you back into the antechamber, and back where you kind of can see the hallway you went in, and the hallway where McKenna and Clive went down, there's a moment where you are about to kind of like yell something out to them, but it's taking everything in your power to keep that mouth shut, like Hercules style, and it is just intense. You see these yellow, beady eyes that they can barely see forward. They're made for kind of like looking to the side, and it's just behind these thick nostrils. You have a much better view in this light. It is flecked with blue scales, purple top, and has almost like shark fins kind of like built up on the ridges of its back. And the shark fins they're almost like wicked, like mix of like carpus metal. And you actually see these kind of like little shark wings on both its arms. You see claws that are meant for shoveling and digging. It just pushes you through the threshold of the antechamber where the door that McKenna opened, not so long ago. And is there anything you would like to do in this moment?
I have an idea, because you got those roll critics out there, that my rage is probably almost up.
It's probably pretty close.
So I'm going to rage again, and then, if I can, because I'm holding its maw and everything, how far away is its eyes from me?
Probably about an arm's length.
Alright, we're going to try to do some crazy stuff here. I'm going to try to pull down and like get above it or like onto it, and I'm going to attempt to rip one of its eyes off with my teeth.
To hold its muzzle in place, first make an athletics check.
16 plus 6, 22.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you do. You keep one hand where it's keeping the mouth closed just enough for you to whip around. Go ahead and make an acrobatics check, because the moment you let go of the other hand and you jump, it starts whipping its head, so I need you to beat its acrobatics roll. That is a 12.
Why? I was one off, man. 11.
So it whips its own head and kind of cracks its snout into the side of your face. You kind of go dizzy for a second, but you already have the plan in place. You may now make your attack with disadvantage on its eye.
Disadvantage? Well, your boy is reckless. It's a straight roll. Okay. Come on. I need this. Seriously? 15.
15 is a hit. You sink your teeth and you grab a hold of the yellow beady eye and you rip it out. There is pus and kind of a purplish liquid as the creature just roars, just the fight fueling you, the bloodlust fueling you, and you just catch the faint noise of a bullet being fired. But because you whipped around and pulled the head of the creature up, it actually misses you, slamming into the side of the creature. The creature kind of lets out a little bit of a guttural, just... There's another few rounds of shots, and there is a explosion behind you. There is smoke first as the fog of war kind of falls over you, except it's not actually the fog of war, it's actual smoke and rubble. And when it clears, you have been kind of like thrown a little bit away from this creature, about 10 feet to the side. You scrabble your way back to your feet, and you watch as the creature goes running off into the cave, pushing past, because up ahead it's the stairs you guys came down, and so it scrabbles up past the stairs, and you can make out 4 shapes of humanoids. The original assailant in cloaks standing there. The 4 shapes all have rifles, and they are kind of like, they move out of the way as the creature kind of clambers past it, leaving spots of purplish blood. And as you hear the sound of the same person who spoke before, and it says, "Who sent you? The Knights of Reckoning? I want to make sure I send you back in a coffin to the right place."
Alice's only response is going to be, he's just going to roar, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
one of these days I will. I might need a couple drinks with me.
We will get a few drinks of bourbon in you for this Tyrannosaurus Rex, but for now, this roar just capitulates, and you go ahead and make an intimidation roll.
Ooh, okay. I like it. Alright, intimidation. 4.
You need some new dice, my friend. You see not the cloaked figure, but these two other people. It looks like they are kind of wearing like face masks, and you can see that they're wearing like kind of military fatigues, and they have like a skull cap on their head, and they're kind of on either side flanking the original ambusher. They look at each other, and they look back at you and heft their weapons, and you just hear the sound of the energy weapon starting to power up again. It's kind of like a gentle whine, like it's... You look back. Surely McKenna and Clive heard that, but it doesn't matter. They blew the door shut, and we will pick up next week. So, right. Guys, thanks for joining in, and that is the story of Atlas's troubles, and they're only just beginning.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Starlight. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe. For early releases, exclusive RPG content, and other bonus material, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/starlightadventures. And to reach us for questions to be aired, email us at thestarlightadventures@gmail.com. See you next Tuesday, Spacers.